All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Aussies Taking Over the NBA. We are doing a mid-season review finally. It's that time of year. We're starting from the bottom because my whole team here, and we'll work our way to the top.
Love it, love it.
So we're starting with the Cavs mid-season review, and I think we all know how we feel about the Cavs and how a lot of people feel about the Cavs. You know, still very much in that LeBron vacuum. Haven't really they haven't really found a soul yet. I don't think Kevin Love's the soul. I don't think Colin Sexton's the soul. Just kind of a ragtag group of NBA players. Larry Nance has had a bit of a resurgence, and they have 8 guards on their roster, and it's a terrible, terrible roster. And there's not even trade pieces that you can kind of bank for. In hindsight, they're going to have a huge amount of cap space going into next year. Most of their guys are coming off contract. I think Kevin Love's the only one. He's got another 4 years, obviously signing that big extension at the beginning of the year.
They'll probably trade him, but
I don't think they will, man. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, maybe in the off season it kind of moves, see what this year pans out. I don't think it's going to happen before the deadline. You know, Tristan Thompson is last year on 18 mil. They've got Dante Exum for 2 years on a further 22 mil. So next year's his final season. And they've just got a whole bunch of players that don't really fit well. They're a terrible passing team. So they're 27th in points per game in the league, 20th in rebounds per game, 28th in assists per game, 20th in opposition points per game. And as of the time of me writing these notes, they're 12 and 33. That's probably gotten even worse.
13 and 37. So they won a couple. No, they won one.
They won one. So I do believe that they have the worst record in the league, along with Golden State, who I think has 13 wins as well now.
Because I believe they just beat the Warriors.
They beat the Cavs.
Cavs.
They just literally beat the Cavs. 16.2 turnovers per game, real plus minus of minus 9.2. That is the worst in the league.
Net rating.
Net rating is horrible, 34.3% from the field. Let's talk about where they're going with these guards, because you know they've got 4 guards that they're currently playing. They've got 5. They've got Brandon Knight, who's on a terrible, terrible contract, but that was a trade-based contract, $15.6 million this year, so really can't do much with him, but that will be free cap space next year. They've got Darius Garland, who's a clone of Colin Sexton, who are both ISO ballers and not really... They're kind of the Dennis Smith Juniors of this and last draft. It's kind of like Dennis Smith, Colin Sexton, and they're good players. They're good players, but they're not NBA. They're not the new NBA quality. They're not... You know, you have to be special if you're 6'1" in this league, and that's the Donovan Mitchells, that's the Trey Youngs, the Steph Currys. You have to be they're not special. And that is really leading into this whole kind of, what are we doing? What are they doing? Do they go all in on Sexton? Do they go in all on Garland? Kevin Porter Jr. has kind of been a nice draft pick for them, but he got injured most of the year. He's back now, so he's finding his form again. Delhi's on a $9.6 million expiring contract this year. Does he even get a spot next year? Like, what is he going to do in 2021 or 2021? Does he come back on a vet min? Do they keep him? You know, I'd see them keeping him, because I don't know if they're accumulating draft picks. Obviously, they got pretty screwed over last year. I think Garland was at 6. Sexton was 8 years before, so they haven't really got the high draft picks. They didn't draft well. They drafted a clone of a guard of a clone of a guard.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? Their picks haven't been great, man. Even when LeBron was there, before LeBron got there, rather. You know, they had Wiggins, which they traded straight away. Bennett wasn't good. You'd have to maybe go back to Kyrie Irving as their only real decent draft pick in the last, 10 years, 12 years or whatever.
I think it was 2012, 8 years.
8 years. There's the Garland Sexton thing is just, it says to you, or says to us, like, you guys don't know what you're trying to do here. And like, you look at the roster and it's obvious that there's no rebuild point where you're just going, right, okay, we chopped this out, we did this, we're on our way here, now we go. Like, there's like, we could go this way, we could go that way, we could turn this way, we could get rid of Love, we could trade Love, get someone. But then, like, if you're going to trade Kevin Love, like, I don't see the point of getting back, like, you know, an asset similar to that. Like that's not even going to help. Like, Kevin Love can't even help this team.
No, exactly. And you kind of look at Atlanta, and Atlanta in the same boat. However, you kind of see where Atlanta's going, right? You see that they've drafted well. They've picked someone up who I called a bust, but was proven very wrong. Now All-Star, first-year All-Star. I think, though, it's just kind of, it's the Trae Young show, and as soon as they get some other players in, his stats will come right back, because you can't win games based on one dude. You know, that's
You're talking about Trae Young, right?
As yeah, Trae Young. So I think that's just, you know, there is no one else in that team. He's able to flourish and thrive and do whatever he kind of wants, and it shows in the game.
Before, like, let's be honest, is what Trae Young is to the league at the moment the real manifestation of new NBA talent?
No,
he takes a lot of shots and a lot of bad shots, does whatever he wants in that team. It's the Cavs kind of have two of those guys.
No, well, they don't really.
I mean?
I think Trae Young's probably more skilled than Sexton.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And he's more of a court visionary, whereas Sexton are just ISO ballers, man. They should be playing really in Europe or in Australia as premier point guards. But in the NBA, do I see Sexton having a long career? No, I don't. You know, I think it's one of those things you probably will see him in a league around the world coming soon to you. But
it's harsh.
It's harsh, but I think it's real. I think, you know, this guy can play really well. Yeah, he's great. He's not a franchise cornerstone. He's not a point guard that you could add three pieces to and be like, yeah, he's going to take you to the promised land. So what are you building around? You're not building around Tristan Thompson. He's probably getting a bit on in years. Larry Nance is a great role player, but nothing to build around. And then you come to the two Aussies. Delhi, who, you know, good court vision, but just his three ball has fallen so hilariously off a cliff. It's broken.
It's gone.
It's gone. It's broken. He broke 2K15, man.
I know. I don't know what happened to it. Like, I don't know why he fixed it. Like, he may as well have just stayed with that normal release. We saw a little bit of an uptick in the World Cup, but then this season shooting 16.7%, and looks afraid now to shoot it too.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
You don't want that. You know, if you can't shoot a three ball, I'd prefer in his role just shoot it, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would not I don't like this Delhi where it's like, oh, my shot, it's really bad. It's like, bro, just shoot it. Who cares? Like, you know.
Yeah, I suppose, and it seems to be that this teams are like they're all kind of afraid to move the ball around. It's some terrible coaching.
Oh yeah, John Beilein. He's just been. Oof. But then again, like, what do you do with, you know,
calling everyone
dross, really?
Calling everyone thugs, and then I meant slugs. It was slugs. It was like that poor woman who called African American people by the N word, but then she came out and said, "No, I said nakers." She was talking about New York Lakers. It's like, no, you quite clearly didn't say nakers. You said, and she got fired. That's the same. It's not as bad, obviously, thugs and slugs, but
still,
look.
Yeah,
Delhi,
I don't know. Does John Beilein just get fired at the end of the season, do you reckon?
No, it doesn't, because where are you going next year? Where are you going the year after? This team is like 10 years. It's a first round draft pick, which is another guard heavy draft. They really need to draft a decent center. That's the first thing that they need to do. 3-and-D center, or pick someone up in the G League that's going to be decent, right? They then need to kind of get a two guard that is of better quality, or Exum's got to step up and actually start shooting the ball and being more of a pure scorer, or play the small forward, play up at the small forward position as a 6'5" small forward and be more of that 3-and-D kind of small forward, which he is because he's got good length. Chetty Osman's kind of just been a little bit of a mediocre disappointment as well in a team where he kind of looked like he was taking off. He's gone really nowhere.
He's kind of like, I don't know, like maybe you expected, like it felt a bit Luka-ish last year. Did it feel like that?
It did.
You know
Feel,
what I mean? Like,
felt,
like all-round scorer, sweet, this is good. But this year, like you've seen Luka and you see Chetty, and you're like, you're not that guy.
No, he's not. But maybe he's, look, they're young. Maybe he's 5 years away from something. Maybe he peaks at 26, 27. That seems to be the peak age these days of basketball players. I think he's 23. I think he's still got a qualifying. He's got a year left to run, and he's got a qualifying offer.
No, he's almost 25.
25, another 2 years.
Talking. Yeah, but
you don't throw him out.
Nah, the comp for me was like him last year is like it was like a Luka like thing where Lucas, was it last year or this year? Sorry, last year. No, the year before last year. Like when Luka came into the league, suddenly you saw the Euro guy doing way more than Chetty, and that's like he is pushed to the side and thrown to the scrap heap. And you're like, you're not as good as Luka, so why bother being that guy? Like, but I still think he's a decent enough player, but he just was never really that good. I don't know where I went with that, but it felt like Luka Doncic to me, where it's great, he's Euro, this is so sweet, he's an all-round scorer, how good's this? And then you see Luka and you're just like, this guy's way better. Luka's way better than this guy.
Yeah, well, Luka's kind of the new norm. 6'7" point guard who's crafty, scores, and can see the floor.
I can see Chetty doing something like that, but he just hasn't really been that guy this season. He's kind of struggled.
Probably needs to get his three ball a bit better.
Probably doesn't help playing with Sexton and Garland.
Not at all. They don't run plays for each other. There's no downhill screening. There's a little bit of screening for Love to get Love open the corner. But a lot of it's just Sexton in the open, Sexton running the court, or just ISO ball scoring. It can be fun to watch at times, but it can also be tedious as anything to watch at times. But we'll go on to Delhi this year. He's averaging 2.8 points, 1.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists, which is down from his career average. I think that probably goes to game time, 33%.
Ball. Like getting the ball too is probably another big thing in that.
33% field goal percentage. 33%. Yeah, that's just terrible. These aren't sustainable NBA numbers. So what do you do from here? What do you do? There's no real way to showcase. Do you keep him in the team because you're rebuilding and he's going to be that good veteran presence? He's won a championship there. What do you do? Do you keep him there? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Father Time is done for Delhi, to be honest. I'd almost like to see him come back to the NBL now, or at the earliest opportunity for him. Because I don't know, does he need to just stay there and make money? Does he have a real future that's going to help a team? I don't think so, but I would like to see him sort of come back more in his prime and play in the NBL, man, because he could go to a team like Illawarra, one of the Melbourne, the Phoenix or something like that. If Robertson, like how old's Robertson? I think he's only young. John Robertson. If he was to go overseas, Robertson is 31. He's pretty old, so brick that one. But I'd like to see Delhi come back, man, with something to give. Because Delhi's 29. Does he really want to stay around for another couple of years in the NBA? Well, you kind of do want to make your money. You want to, potentially get a couple of years of vet min. I don't even know if he qualifies for vet min. That's a good question to probably find out if he qualifies. Because if you qualify for vet min, it's no skin off Cleveland's back to pay him $2.5 million a season for, fostering the next generation of guards and how to defend. Because Garland and Sexton are terrible on defense, man. Just absolute trash. And that's something that Delhi's known pretty well for. His free throw percentage, though, is hilariously high, 90%. So he can shoot the ball. It's just a question of building that stroke out for NBA. So maybe that's... You do see it, though. He hits the front of the rim a hell of a lot of hitting the front of the rim.
He did actually watching... Like, I had a lot of experience watching him in those Cavs-Warriors showdowns. And, like, creating his own shot just has never really been his thing.
No, it's an open...
And that's where, like, it's like a self-depreciating thing where if you're watching him try and make his own shot, it just evolves into worse and worse, and you're just like, bro, like, what's like, stop type of thing. which is a worry, I think, as you get older and as you progress in your career. You almost kind of want to get better as a scorer, but he seems to kind of be devolving a little bit. But I still think, man, he has an avenue to come back down in somewhat of his prime and play in Australia, and there'd be no shame in that, man.
No, man, no, it'd be great for the league, and he could play here till the end of time if he wanted to, and that would probably make more sense in Europe. He'd be a marquee player, definitely get good money here, and just give more status to the league that more NBA players are
the money, but I don't. He's already earned, like, according to B-Ball Ref, he's already earned $30 million in his career. Like, it's not like, I don't know. And he, like, his personality type, he doesn't look like the kind of guy that's just like, I need money, business minded. He seems more of a I just like to ball type of guy.
Yeah. Oh, look, you'd probably be on 600,000-700,000 a season here. There's no reason why not.
Yeah.
Third party, so not horrible.
It's like Bogut, where you're just like, Bogut doesn't need the money. Like,
how much has Bogut made in his career?
Fair bit. Let's check that.
At least 60 mil. He must have like 7 phones.
Career earnings estimated at over 113 million.
Jeez.
That could be Australian though, converted to the US.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that is. That's what annoys me. When, like, in this reporting, like, all of these outlets sensationalize it as Australian dollars. Like, he's getting paid 219 million, and then you just look at it and it's like 14 million US a season, and you're like, no, he's not. He's getting 40 million US. Like, stop translating into Australian dollars to make the figure look bigger.
Yeah, they do that, but they also look at the total value of the contract. Like when Simmons signed that max extension, it's just like, yeah, and you know what? He's going to get another extension when he comes out of that, which will be the max as well, and he'll be on a 5-year 200 easy.
Yeah, for sure.
By the time
it too.
Oh yeah, of course, man. Just phenomenal talent.
We're not biased or anything.
No, not at all. Not at all. Play for Australia. Play for
Australia, mate.
Australia. All right, let's move on to Exum.
Yeah, Dante.
We could talk about the trade as well. Do you think this trade was the right move?
No, I don't think so. I don't know, man. Like, I'm just one guy sitting here watching his career from the outside. I didn't want to see him go to a team with nothing to play for this early. Like, I would have preferred him to see this season out with the Jazz. Like, fair enough, the Jazz saw an opportunity in Clarkson and took it. That's fair enough. But I just feel like it's still a shame that he's not playing for a team that has something to play for at least this season, because I don't think you're going to get an accurate representation of where he really is at in this team.
No. Yeah,
and it's probably more just it's sad for him than really logical breakdown of what's happening. But I do feel sad for him. I'm like, man, that sucks. You got to play for this shit team. But
look, it could be a blessing in disguise. It means he'll get more minutes. He had his first start the other night as well. He had a breakout game. He had his highest scoring game at 28 points. Man, that was a brilliant game where he was just scoring everywhere. He hit 4 for 4 from 3. His field goal percentage is way up this year, 38.5% from 3, almost 50% from the field. Points per game, a little bit low. He's only played 22 games this year, 4.5 points, 1.5 rebounds, and 1 assist. Good defensive efficiency. Could be worthwhile, I think, for his development, because I think the Jazz have an all or nothing mentality right now.
Yeah, true.
So he's not going to get minutes, although in any postseason you want him guarding guards because he's so long and quick. But his propensity to get injured, the contract that he had, and the viability of him going into the next year and the year after that, it's a good contract for the Cavs. If he's a guard that you want to bank on, because I think he's good bench minutes. He's the kind of guy that you want to offer a contract of 3 years, 16 to 17 mil, as a good slashing 2 guard that comes on that can play a bit of small forward. So I think he's got a long, and he's been really hampered by injury over his whole career, and it'd be good to see him put a full season and an off season together at some point in the near future.
Yeah, I think if you rewind to back when they actually made the trade, I think I was probably saying that this is great for his career because he's playing for a team with no pressure and expectations. But I still feel like it's sad, man, because I think he's got a lot of talent, and they did really back. Like the Jazz did really back him, and you're right in saying that the Jazz are in a win now situation, and that's kind of understandable as well. It's a business. But I don't know if his all-round game will fit this team going forward. Like I can see him staying for 2 years and then just going somewhere else. Like what teams do you reckon he'd fit on?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It depends what they're after. Everyone's looking for a high volume scorer. He's not a high volume scorer. He's a slasher defender. What he needs to do is translate his game into a small forward 3-and-D position. That's where you really carve your niche in the NBA. If you can hit, three threes a game at 40-45% and defend the shit out of the 2 and 3 positions, you have a home in any team, off the bench, wherever. But until you develop your game along that route, that's kind of where he is, where he's still kind of building his game around that 2-guard, potential point guard position when his handles aren't overly secure.
No, I think he's either got to put some size on and put away the handling aspect of his game, or he's got to work on playing defense and then work on his point guard skills. But in this team, he's not gonna do that. He may as well just be a scorer, small forward. In this team, he's not gonna get the ball.
I would model your game on Robert Covington. That's where I would model the game on, is become that elite defender, and hit the 3 ball at 40%. 8 looks a game, hitting at 3.5 threes a game. That's in 25 minutes. That's where you really have to model your team, because that seems to be the piece that everyone is missing at this point in time in the league. But he's got to get his 3 release a lot quicker than it is, because it's quite a slow release.
I don't know. Like, I look at his 3 ball and just go, is it worth working on? I don't know.
I think you have to if you want to stay in the NBA. It's just the way things are going.
He's got kind of like a bit of an elephant trunk to it. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not quick.
Nah,
he's
good attitude though. Sorry, what were you saying?
Great attitude. But and you know what? He's been in the NBA for like 4 years. This is what people don't realize. Like, he's been around. He knows the team, knows the league, knows the professionalism, but just has to get more game time and stay healthy. That's really all you can ask for. We can go on to who's really the top. And this, you'll laugh at this, right? So Sexton's points per game, 19.1 points, which is good scoring. I didn't say that. Rebounds per game, Thompson's 10.6. Garland 3.6 assists per game. Like, they just don't move the ball.
No,
Too
that's
much
the highest
ISO.
assists, didn't you say as well?
Highest in the team, 3.6.
That's horrible.
Just horrid. Just horrid.
That is horrible.
Gets better. Sexton, high steals, 0.9.
So they're playing no defense, basically.
0 defense. Thompson blocks 1. Could you imagine?
Nothing.
1 per game, nothing for a center position. He needs to be a better rim protector. But again, that's funneling defense into the right positions and coming. And look, sign Thonmaker. This is where you would sign Thonmaker at that 5 position. Get a young guy in the team. Three shot 5. We'll get to Detroit another time on another podcast. Shooting the 3 ball around about 33%. Can block. Can play the center. Perfect signing.
That's a good shout. That's an interesting shout. I just hope it doesn't happen. Best case scenario is these 2 guys get traded away from the Cavs into better teams.
Yeah, but we probably know that's not.
But that's actually a good shout. I like that, man. Sign Thonmaker and part of your young core going forward. Interesting. Good shout.
At worst, he's a backup center that can give you 15 to 20 minutes a night and play a bit of power forward. At best, he develops his game and becomes that rim protector that he was at the Bucks, and he's at periods of time for Detroit. The good thing about, I suppose, the bad contracts, you could say the Kevin Long contract is bad, but they had to give it to him. He kind of deserved the contract.
But then some people always say, no, you didn't. But
he did.
That whole the whole LeBron leaving thing, I think it's just a case of, well, that's 5 years basically. Unless you absolutely play this perfectly, there's 5 years where you won't be doing anything in the league. And I think like he has such a vortex of personality, effect on the team, leadership. You know, he was that whole team basically. He was dragging that carcass all the way to the finals for those 4 years basically. And to take that away, that's a huge part. Like, and then sometimes like I feel like watching a lot of professional sports franchises, like sometimes these franchises need to accept that they're shit before they can get better.
Yeah.
Like you need to go, we're really shit. Let's work on a pathway to get better and do this, and this. Make these checkpoints and go that way. And then, like I watched the Warriors basically do that, where they just went, right, here's the pathway to get better. We're gonna get these picks in the draft. It was like arguably probably the best draft class over that 4 years. You know, they drafted smartly. I don't know, like it feels different to back then. Like it almost feels like every draft you have to pull out an absolute worldy gem, otherwise it's a bust. Now, I don't know if that's real. I don't know if maybe like that's the way I'm interpreting or just a feeling, but the last 3 drafts have been like, you have to pull a worldie or like it's it. Like you're not going to get anything decent. So I don't know if these draft classes are getting worse or they're getting
I don't think it's worse.
I think like they're becoming unique or something's going on.
They're becoming very guard dominant. Very guard dominant. Like when's the last time like just an excellent center was picked up? Yeah, DeAndre Ayton's a good center, good scorer, not a great rim protector, but the last great center was kind of Embiid, and you didn't really see him for 3 years because he was injured. And this NBA is moving away from that center. You're getting a lot of G League alumni in the league now who are doing really well. Pascal Siakam, Chris Middleton, Dikembe Mutombo. They're really, I think rating the G League is kind of your best asset moving forward, is getting some good G League contracts, giving these guys minutes that fit potentially at those 4 and 5 spots. They definitely need a better power forward at the Cavs and a small forward. I think Chetty's probably a good backup, but they need someone who, they need to pluck a Pascal Siakam out of somewhere, really.
They need, you're right. Their front court needs work, but it doesn't need like, just a player here. They need like structural reform. Basically,
and it does.
Four guys out because Love and Thompson can't protect the rim. Like they can't play defense. It's just you would prefer 2 defensive centers and then those 2 guys working in and out of that combination. Like I'm going back through the draft here. Patton. I'll go back to 2018. Was DeAndre Ayton, obviously, and then Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter. Like those 2 of just like, you know, fake high drafts for centers. You know, were they the real deal? No, Mo Bamba kind of really went high, but hasn't really done much. He's looking a little better this year. Justin Patton, the highest center.
He just got waived.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. Oklahoma City Thunder traded to the Mavericks in exchange for Roby, waived to obtain Willie Cauley-Stein. Jesus. And then Jared Allen for the Nets. Jared Allen's, not bad, but that's not, you're not talking elite. I know what you're talking about in terms of elite. The guys like, you know, the best example is probably like a Shaq or someone like that. Well, he knows going to become a dominant player. That's obviously the best case scenario, but
an AD, a Marc Gasol, an Embiid. You'd probably say an Embiid, even, you know, Joseph Nurkic, Jonas Valanciunas. These guys are kind of elite centers, right? When's the last time they've kind of pulled that one out of the draft? And the Cavs really need that. They need to pull that elite out of the center position.
They got Ante Zizic. What about Jakob Poeltl? That's really elite. Yeah, and then Karl Anthony Towns. Jahlil Okafor was in that draft.
Yeah, he just plays no defense.
Kristaps. I still don't think Kristaps is really the real deal.
I think he's the real deal. I just don't think he's a center. He's a power forward. Can't really, gets bullied a lot. Just doesn't have a lot of backing. And with his body, you kind of don't want to put weight on it, so you just play him as this freakish power forward, 7'3" power forward. Just play him as Dirk. Just Dirk clone him. That's Dirk. This is your Dirk number 2.
Yeah,
for stats.
yeah.
But the good thing about
back to that MB draft, Nurkic and also Clint Capella were in that draft too.
So yeah, that's where you want it. Look, if you wanted to offload a contract, you'd send Capella to the Cavs, but I think he's going to be used more as a trade piece than a contract.
Love.
Could be.
Let me fire up the trade machine. So what are you thinking? Clint Capella to the Cavs for...
Listen, Clint Capella and Austin Rivers to the Cavs for Kevin Love.
Oh, would you get rid of Austin Rivers?
You'd have to send a sweetener in. Otherwise, you'd have to send draft assets, and they don't have them.
I always think, like, I'm always just the guy that's like, nuts and bolts trades, and you're like, no, you have to negotiate. You can't just, here, take our shit players and we'll get the sweet player. All right. Oh, whoops. Clint Capella, come back. Clint Capella, Larry Nance, similar salary. This trade is successful. Now, but why the hell would they want Larry Nance?
No, exactly.
Let's adjust that trade, shall we? Clint Capella for Kevin Love. No, not both. Kevin Love. They have to match salary, but
that's why you add
this
Austin
trade
Rivers.
Failed. The Rockets are over the luxury tax threshold in this trade, and the incoming aggregate salaries exceeded what's allowed via the 125% plus $100,000 rule.
What's Austin Rivers?
10 million has to fit in the...
What's Austin Rivers on?
Rivers is only 2 million.
That's good.
That's a decent contract. That's what I mean. He's a decent... You wouldn't send Tucker. And then again, here is where you start to find these scenarios where, oh, look, 2 guys earning 38 million just completely destroys your inability to be flexible around trades and, beefing up the middle of your team. Like, you've either got to go for the Westbrook Harden in the backcourt, and then you got guys like Tyson Chandler in your front court. And then Hilario, where, it's...
They're just bench warmers.
Yeah. Yeah, this Cavs team, man. We spent a lot of time just not talking about the Cavs on this Cavs half-season review.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's round it out with their bad contracts. Brandon Knight and Delhi's getting paid 9 points.
Brandon Knight is just nuking them, man.
Yeah, but that's just they got a contract. They've got some draft assets out of it. So hopefully they draft well this year.
Just trying to find their picks. Their accumulated picks, but I can't remember. I used to know where to find all that stuff, but now I've forgotten how to get that. The Cavaliers. I think it was on Sport Track. No, anyway. Yeah, Brandon Knight, he's injured. Yeah, I don't know if they can offload that contract. Again, like, we go back to... Really, what are you building? Are you just getting another player? Are you just shifting salary? Do you have to neck the entire squad just to start again? I don't know, man. I think they have to accept that. What are they in year 2 of 5 years?
Yeah.
Where it's like, we're going to be shit for 5 years. And then, it might be 10 years, but we've just got to accept that, hack the top off this entire team, and then start rebuilding it from the bottom up.
Sign themselves an Antetokounmpo.
Yeah. Papas. No, Thanasis.
Thanasis, yeah.
They were talking. I was listening to Simmons, and they were talking about that they might throw Thanasis in to sweeten Giannis's next move if he moves from the Bucks.
Just like, yeah, we'll give your 4 brothers a contract too.
Yeah. Well, you should wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back next time with the Detroit Pistons mid-review and on to the Mavericks, with obviously Brokoff having his first start and playing really well, which was good.
Yeah, man.
So it's good to see Rowdy Ryan.
I'm surprised he came back so early.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, what? Mate, he's back? What the hell?
Stem cells.
Stem cells, that old PRP, eh? That sneaky trip to Panama. Is it Panama?
Mexico.
I think Panama is the big or Puerto Rico. No, Panama. That's where the UFC guys go.
All right, we'll wrap it up. Peace.
All right, take it easy, peeps. See you later.
See you.